Hello, good afternoon.
No, you're good.
Good afternoon. Hi. We're going to get the program started. I know there's so much fun exhibitors and fun building community, but we're going to get started with a panel discussion. So thank you all so much for being here. My name is Emlyn Lee. I'm the founder of Brave Communities. We founded it in 2016, and we've been hosting community events pretty regularly. Now they're monthly, and then we became 501c3 status in 2020. And we have 4 different pillars of programs and services. So we have our monthly community events that you're attending now. And then we also have our weekly Brave Young Leaders program, which is for 14 to 24-year-olds here on a local level. And it's facilitated by Ms. Ty over there. And all the young women and men wearing the red shirts are our Brave Young Leaders. And we also have a program that's administering young leaders from abroad that come to Austin. So in May, we actually will have a cohort of social entrepreneurs called the Professional Fellows Program coming from the Middle East, North Africa region. So there'll be 8 coming to Austin, staying in Austin for about a month, and we place them with social businesses and get to have them learn and explore Austin. So we hope that you can be part of that. We also have, in the summer, a Tech Girls program, and that is 23 teens from the Asia Pacific and also the US that will be coming to the States, and they will be in Austin for 5 days. So we also are looking for host families where we will love for you to open your home and host them. It's really a great experience for them to have that cross-cultural connection. And then lastly, we have, actually with our global programs, and you will get to meet 2 of the fellows, we are hosting, Brave is hosting some international social change makers. And so Izazi and Lydia, that will be part of our panelists, have been working with Brave, so we've been mentoring them for the past 3 months. And then Jacob is here too from Sudan. So we appreciate you all being here in Austin for 3 months. Kind of having that cross-cultural experience. And so, without further ado, I just want to hand the mic over to Faylyn. She's going to be our moderator, and also ask the panelists if you don't mind coming up, and we'll get the program started. Thanks so much.
I was quoting this because during the event, we also have a survey, so feel free to fill this out too. And then our next month event is April 14th, and the details aren't ready, but this one is going to be actually the spring showcase that the Brave Young Leaders are putting together. So it's April 14th, so please feel free to RSVP too. These are around the room, so feel free.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our event. So, if you panelists don't mind giving yourself a short introduction.
All right, checking. Welcome everybody, nice to meet you. Thank you for filling the space with all of your beautiful energy. My name is Jaymie Orozco Howard. Danzversity is and was a dream of mine and now is present with you all. I'm happy to share this space in creativity, in diversity, and inclusivity, in movement, which is our most art form that we practice here, is healing through movement and telling stories. So thank you again for being here. Thank you, Brave and Emlyn, for reaching out to have this here. Thank you so much, and for inviting me to speak as well. Thank you. So, next.
Well, my name is Lydia Anoyke. I'm from Ghana, and I have an organization called Health Awareness and Youth Empowerment Consult. And we create health awareness and also advocate for non-child education. And luckily, I was selected to a program in USA called Community Engagement Exchange Program, where I will be having a leadership program for 3 months. And luckily, again, I was paired to Brave Communities, where I am working with for a period of 3 months. So I was invited here as a panel again. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kitty Mcleod, and short introduction, so I'll try to keep it there. I think the best way to describe me, I'm embracing more of a Renaissance woman approach as opposed to me just being a little ADHD and having many varied interests. But I'm in school right now for clinical mental health counseling with a focus in dance movement therapy. I have my own company, Ilumine Wellness, where we focus on the intersection of DEI and wellness. And I'm also the vice president of the board of the Black Professional Alliance of Austin.
Hey, she did it. She kept it short. Let me give it a try. So I am Candyce Hunt. I'm one of the co-founders of 5 Minute Career Hack, where we are a business consulting and career coaching firm. So I'm one of 3. One of my co-founders lives in Louisiana, one lives in Houston, Texas. And so we basically help you make pivots in your career, your confidence, which you'll hear a lot from me on confidence today, and your compensation. We're all about making sure that closing the gender pay gap is one of our initiatives that we do at 5 Minute Career Hack. I'm also one of the masterminds behind Riley Designs. So me and my 9-year-old daughter are a power team, multi-generational power team that we print affirmation t-shirts for all ages. So definitely check us out before you leave and get your empowerment t-shirt. And I'm excited to share and learn with the panel today.
Hi everyone, thank you all for coming. My name is Izazi Mosli. I come from Brunei, which is a very small country in Southeast Asia. I'm currently the country co-director for the ASEAN Youth Advocates Network. So we are a platform that aims to empower young people in the region, the ASEAN region, that are interested in becoming further involved in their localities. So we provide support in logistics, grant funding, not the grant itself, but how to apply for the grant. So they can do programs that are centered around issues that they care about. So we've done programs on mental health, programs on climate awareness and the environment, and minority rights as well. Thank you.
Hi everybody, thank you for being here, and thank you for having me. My name is Mindy Hoffman, and I am the founder of Women of Austin. And Women of Austin, we have a podcast, monthly networking events, and a member community. And we also have the Women of Austin Foundation, which it started helping single parent households, but this year we've been able to grow and reach out to help all women. So I'm really excited about that and really happy to be here today.
All right, thank you all so much for being here. We're gonna dive into our questions. There are a lot of y'all, so if you want to popcorn, if you want to pass, that's perfectly okay. So our first question is, what does empowering women mean to you, and why is it important, and how does this fall into gender equality?
Okay. So, in my own definition, I think women empowerment is enabling women to have control of their lives and being able to take a decision for themselves and also control their own spaces, because there will not be gender equality without all these things, without giving women power to control their spaces. And looking at where I'm coming from, the word empowerment is not for women, but for men rather, because the school that I was in, basic school, it is for, even though it's for everybody, but the majority of the students are men. And in my community, there are some roles and specific responsibilities that are assigned to women. You don't have to go beyond it. So we are not being empowered. but boys are allowed to do a lot of things, and there is no gender equality between males and females. So you have to find your way to like survive, because you have a smaller space to fit in. So that's how I describe women empowerment, because like giving women the spaces that they want and allowing them to have their own decision, choose where to be, decide like the kind of life they want to live. Thank you.
If I may, that was beautiful, a beautiful definition. And as an educator at 5-Minute Career Hack, I'm always wanting to go down to the origin of like the definition. So of course you spoke to the definition so well. So I was like, okay, what does the definition of empowerment say? It's the process of gaining control over one's life, making choices, and taking action to achieve personal, social, and economic goals. And so when I read that definition, the first word I saw was control. And I'm like, all right, well, what's the origin of control? And I want to go back to the origin of creation, right? So early in a really, really important book, they said that he made us and gave us dominion, right? We have dominion. So now, because I was given that, it is my responsibility as an empowerment guru to be a role model to everybody who looks to me. That includes everybody on this panel, everybody in the room, my mom, my 9-year-old daughter. It is my responsibility to uphold that dominion. We do have shirts that say I got dominion, and I know God chose me, you see that here. But that is, when I think of empowerment, is how do I walk, talk, and live the life that others are looking to as a role model. We do that on a podcast. When I'm opening my mouth to speak, I'm thinking about, okay, how is anybody going to receive this? How is that going to make them think differently? How is it going to give them fresh perspective so that they can feel empowered to do whatever it is in life that they want to do? So that's how I think about empowerment. It's just me being a role model and an example to others.
Empowerment is my word for this year. I don't know if y'all do words for the year, but so I've been thinking a lot about it, and I realized when looking back that I had given my power away a lot of the time to men. When I got divorced, I didn't know how to balance my checking account. I didn't know how much things really cost. And that was a part of the reason that I stayed in a bad marriage for so long, because I was scared, because I knew I didn't know how to do all those things. So when I finally did get the divorce, it took a lot of time, and it was really scary, but I learned everything, and I feel so much better and stronger. And something that I know that I will never do again is give my power to a man and let him control things, because that has been so bad for me. And I have a 10-year-old daughter, and so I'm happy that I can show her that we can do it on our own, and it's going to be okay.
Thank you all for that. That was really powerful. Our next question is, how do the different aspects of your identities affect your experiences as a woman? And why is diversity important when discussing gender equality? And how do we ensure its existence?
Growing up, is this one? Yeah. Okay. Growing up, I was raised in El Paso, Texas, border town. Me either.
Hello? Now it's on. I was like, something's missing. So yes, growing up in El Paso, Texas, border city, right by Juarez, Mexico. My family mainly lives in Chihuahua, Mexico. My biological father was not in the picture, but my stepdad, who is my dad, was a very awesome influence to me. And, we have different roots. And so my siblings are a lot different from me. They look different from me, but I was very much I was aware of that when it was brought up to me, not because I experienced it in my family. So this started in elementary school when they were saying, why is your hair darker than your sister's? Why is your skin different than your sister's? But you're the same family, but you're different. So that means you must be adopted. You must be from somewhere else. And going back to your roots and your identity and how important it is in your childhood to be confident and brave and love yourself, I think that's where we need to go the hardest is with the youth, and making sure that they're empowered and that they know their roots and their story, and their confidence will grow from that. I struggled from elementary school all the way, wanting to change my hair, wanting to find out why I was not as popular as my siblings or whatever the case, but no child should have to go through that. And especially so young, we are here as leaders now to make sure that we can help the youth get through those moments and make sure that they feel secure with their identity, no matter what. I'm tapping on some of the question that resonated with me, and I also have so much to say, but I'm going to pass this on because it's a lot to talk about. So let me pass it on.
Thank you. As a woman, different aspects of identities that I have experienced is being a woman itself and being a black woman, and also from Africa. Because sometimes when you see a job and you see what they want, I look at the job, I have these qualifications, I have all the certificates they want, so let me apply for this job. And you will receive an email, no, we are looking for a man to this organization. So I'll be like, what is this man bringing to this organization that I can't give it to this? So sometimes I wonder why are women treated this way? Because in my country, it is very difficult to find women driving big cars. But here I see women driving buses, school buses. So sometimes when I see them, I take pictures, I say, I'll show it to my people. Because women are doing great here. And also being black and being from the other part of the world, that's Africa. Sometimes, I remember about 4 years ago, I saw a scholarship and I wanted to apply. You know what goes into writing an essay for scholarship? I spent all night writing these essays, and at one time I received an email, sorry, we don't accept women from Africa. And I was like, why didn't you say it in your criteria? Like, why do you allow me to spend sleepless night writing this essay just to deny me? So I was like, why? Should I relocate from where I am to maybe something Europe or America where I'll be accepted? But I thought it wise and said, diversity fosters innovation and creativity. We cannot have a society without diverse people. We need diverse people, idea and solution to make a sustainable environment for us. So that's what motivates me.
I have a whole book prepared for this question, so I wanted to pass it to the okay. Perfect. When I read this question, got really excited because I love talking about diversity. There's 27 different dimensions of diversity, and we have a tendency just to think of, what we can see. Black, white, race, woman, man, non-binary, everything in between. There's visible diversity, there's invisible diversity.
And when I think about my experience, I grew up, born in New York, grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. Both of my parents are foreign, from the Caribbean. And I remember having the distinct experience of seeing specifically other Black people in the South that talk differently than I was used to hearing, that had different experiences, and feeling very othered, in addition to being in predominantly white educational spaces that further made me feel very alone. And so it's been really interesting in my experience now, diving into this work in DEI, and really wanting to encourage people to be their most authentic selves. I firmly believe that we don't have change unless we're being fully ourselves. I mean, I remember when Supreme Court passed the decision for same-sex marriage, and not only was it exciting to be able to go to the Tennessee courthouse and cheer people on as they went in and came out, but I heard more people talking about their experiences of being queer. It's another element of diversity for myself. I am the most straight-passing person. Most people don't necessarily look at me and see queerness, but it also has affected my experience of, you know, can I go and visit my parents' home countries? Because Jamaica's the #1 most homophobic country in the world. So it really makes me think a lot about intersectionality. That term was coined by Kimberly, I believe, Crenshaw. Yes, it was, in 1989. And when you really look at intersectionality, you can't put anybody in one box of one dimension of their diversity. You have to look at people's experiences intersectionally. My experience is going to be completely different than Jaymie's experience growing up as a Latina woman in Texas, versus, you know, every single one of us has a different flavor to our experience. And so I really firmly believe that the way that we keep it at the forefront is by continuing to have conversations, making rooms like this. I mean, it's just like when you think about innovation. When you have homogeneous groups, like, yes, there's harmony because there's nothing to fight about, there's no understanding that has to be made, but innovation tops out very quickly. But when you have heterogeneous groups, there might be a little bit of storming because I'm going to communicate differently than you're going to communicate. I have ideas that are going to be different than your ideas. But innovation goes through the roof because you have different perspectives. And I firmly believe that if we can keep making spaces, or we can have authentic conversation, we keep diversity at the front end of our experiences, the front end of our minds, the front end of our politics, the front end of how we want everyone to live in the world.
That was amazing. The word I kept hearing you say was confidence. I heard you say confidence, and then a lot of times when we think about the word confidence, we think about, like, our chest is out, we can do this, like, nothing can break me. But I think another component of confidence that, you know, kind of answer your question is about being vulnerable. And so I spent a lot of time researching and learning about career space, because that's where I primarily coach, right? And a fact of the matter from a diversity standpoint is that there is an extreme gender pay gap, right? Raise your hand if you are in the workforce right now. Keep your hand up if you are a woman and you feel like you're being paid fairly. Hands went down because the fact of the matter is, for every dollar a man is being paid, and this is just average statistic, every dollar a man is being paid, a woman is being paid 83 cents. And so when I say vulnerability, I think the way that I can empower and keep diversity alive in the workspace is through what I talk about on my platform, and that's me being vulnerable and saying I was once severely underpaid. Once I accepted a job for $85,000, and the person who I replaced, I usually, when I tell this story, I say, make sure you're sitting down because you're going to fall if you're standing. He was making $165,000, right? I heard the gasp in the room. That's the fact of the matter. And if I decide that I'm going to keep that story bottled inside, then I can't pave the way for brave young leaders and teach them how to ask for more money and give them the tools excuse me, and the resources to be able to help close the pay gap, right? So to answer the question around my experience, that is my experience. What am I going to do about it? I am going to continue to tell my story. If you have a story, or if you put your hand down and you know that you aren't being paid enough money, talk to somebody about it. Surround yourself with someone who's going to mentor you, sponsor you, and help you to be able to make a difference in that area, because our experiences are so different. I'm Black and I'm a woman. I was paid less because of that. I was also one of the only in the workplace that was Black and a woman in my position. That's why I was paid less, because I'm going to tell that story. Oh, you'll find me on TikTok. This is probably one of my most popular videos, is when I told this story. I know that that is what helped free someone else from walking into a job and accepting a low salary. Okay? So my advice is be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. Surround yourself with people. If I had told my business partner back in, this is in 2014, if I had told my business partner this, undoubtedly she would have said, that is too little money, and she was making $160. My business partner, and I was accepting $85K. If I had been educated and had told my business partner this, then I could have contributed differently to the pay gap that exists today. And so now my responsibility, is one of my values, is to share that, to empower others, to make sure that I am reporting on the data so we can solve this problem. Now, I know that it's not going to solve itself just because everybody's asking for salary. There's legislative things that have to happen. It's financial, it's Wall Street, all those things. But if every time I use my voice, I'm helping to close the pay gap, that is what I'm going to be after, and that's what I employ and encourage you all to do as well.
Yes.
So many great stories. I'm like, why am I so back? I should have gone first. But just jumping on what Kitty said about like homogeneous societies, or where like oh, everybody's the same, so there should be harmony. But then I come from a community that is like maybe 90% Muslim, 100% Malay, like maybe 99% Malay. And we are quite a conservative country. We got into the news like a few years back for implementing Sharia law, so that got us like into the hot waters of the media. But what diversity means to me is just being able to exist with your own ideas. Like when they see that, oh, you're from Brunei, aren't you that country that has Sharia law? Yes, but I am not that person. You should not put that, like what you think of me, or like what you have perceived from the media, from the outside sources, to people that you actually meet in person. And then why diversity is important, and then also what Jaymie said about family. I was privileged now, and I am very thankful to have parents that practically never said no to me. So growing up, I never felt like I was unable to do anything. I was always like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the next prime minister, or like I'm gonna be the next minister, because like why not? It's like a question of when and not if. And I do truly appreciate, and I think that is very important, like just allowing other people to exist in their own ideas and self-expression.
I think being vulnerable is very important, and if you see something, say something. I think that really has, in my experience, come to create the most change. So I just love that, and I love what everybody said. I was a personal trainer once, and the girls never got any of the walk-in clients, and we couldn't live like that. We were so broke, and the men were so blatantly doing, hooking each other up, that we couldn't work there anymore. And so unfortunately we had to leave that job. Now the other woman and I came together and we moved to a better gym together because they tried to pit us against each other, and she's still one of my best friends to this day. So there's also a certain kind of bonding when you find people who are going what you're going through and then come together. It's way more impactful, and you can go even further.
Thank you all for sharing. Next question. I'm not going in order, so. Sorry. How can we ensure that women from all backgrounds have equal access to comprehensive reproductive health care, and what role does advocacy play in achieving this goal?
I'm usually the person, not this time.
Say something.
I always have things to say.
I think one of the ways that we definitely make sure that we extend reproductive access, first and foremost, before we get into nitty-gritty of healthcare system in general, is register to vote. Register, if you're not registered today. There we go, there's our girl, okay? If you are not registered to vote today, make sure that you do so before you leave. And this election is not only important just because it's a presidential year, there are so many congressional seats that are up. Go vote. I think advocacy plays a huge role in this because we can't be conditional advocates. We can't just turn around and say, okay, I'm going to speak up because this is a part of my life, or that really doesn't affect me, I'm not missing anything. I think it comes back to that same point that I mentioned with just, gay marriage being made legal. Is like, there's so many people in touch, closeness to you who these decisions affect. I personally know multiple people, I've lived in Austin since 2015, who, after recent legislative changes, have told me, well, I think I'm gonna leave because I don't feel safe here. I don't know what could happen and I can't have access if I need that kind of reproductive care. So speaking up, not only for yourself, what you believe, what you need access to, but speak up for other people who aren't in the room, who can't necessarily say their piece.
Okay, in my own space as a health worker, I know when it comes to women reproductive health, it's very important. And in my community, that is something women also feel very shy to talk about in case of assessing reproductive health. Because if you talk so much about it, you are tagged as spoiled or bad. So even if there is something wrong with them, it's sometimes very difficult to talk about. So there is this advocacy program that educates people that you have rights, you have your reproductive rights, you have right to contraceptives, you have right to family planning, you have right to safe abortion, you have right to prenatal care, you have right to antenatal care. So why are you sitting down? So we just advocate for people to understand their rights so that they can seek help. And we also go to schools to educate students and the community about their sex, because sex is not something people usually talk about in schools and in communities because of what others may think of you. So we educate them about sexually transmitted diseases, because if you don't educate people about it and you don't advocate, how are people going to know about their existence of STDs? And there are a lot going on in our communities that people are not aware of. So as women, what we have to do is educate people, educate our own fellows, educate our women that you have right to your reproductive health and you can get it if you take a step or if you know the rights that you are entitled to. Thank you.
Also, personally, in my own space as well, Brunei, where I come from, is not a country that allows abortion. Like only certain types that are life-threatening, so it's like allowed, but like generally it's like illegal. And then even sex education is not taught in school. It's talking about private matters or sexual reproduction. It's seen as like a taboo or like something like, oh, that should be kept private for your own like house. Like it's expected for parents to tell these things to their children, but not all parents do, and so not all children know. So I have seen a lot of people grow up with like when I was growing up, oh, they don't even know like, oh, okay, so you have sex and then you don't use condoms and then you have children. But since abortion is illegal, so you have to take care of children. So it's like babies having babies, and then when does the circle stop? So for me, as an advocate, I'm always very loud that I'm pro-choice, that I don't shy from saying like, oh yeah, I'm on my period. Because why should it be something shameful to be a woman? Like why should you hide that fact of yourself? And then like, if you're not saying these things, you're not destigmatizing these topics or issues amongst your own peers, what does that say for you? Like, oh, are you ashamed of what your natural bodily functions are doing for your own health? It's like when you say, oh, okay, so I'm going to the store to buy like some pads or some tampons. Just bringing these mundane topics into your everyday conversation would help normalize and then like allow the people around you to feel like included in your like conversation.
Every time. Thank you. So this year, the Brave Young Leader program is specifically addressing environmental racism and its impact on our mental health. So how do environmental factors, whether emotional or physical, affect women's treatment from society, and how do we influence this?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Of course. Okay. How do environmental factors, whether emotional or physical, affect women's treatment, and how do we influence that?
Yeah, I can speak to something that I talk a lot about in coaching. It's tied to the emotional, and that's burnout. Has anybody ever heard of burnout? Yeah. Ooh, she even had a gasp of air when she said it. Yeah, it is running rampant in society and culture, and the statistics report that upwards of 70% of women have experienced burnout since the pandemic, right? That is when your body, your mind, your emotions have an automatic shutdown because you are doing all the things, trying to be. Whitney Houston's one of my favorite singers, but I don't sing the song "I'm Every Woman" anymore with the same chest, right? Because I'm not every woman and I can't be everything, right? And so to answer your question around how can we, kind of combat it from an emotional standpoint, one is to create space to let women know that if you are experiencing burnout, nothing is wrong with you. You're actually the majority, and in fact, it is quite possible that our ancestors may have died from untreated burnout, right? And so the ways that we can fight burnout, and this is again the physical, when we experience burnout in our bodies and our minds shut down, it's happening in our bodies. So the way to respond to that is to speak our body's language. I know Jaymie and Kitty are gonna love that I say this. Is to speak your body's language. Move your body every single day. to be able to combat those things that are happening in your body that are just unavoidable, right? When I talk about this, I always, and I hope this resonates, I always try to give this thought process of like, imagine being chased by a dog. That dog could be your boss at work. That dog can be your toxic family member. That dog could be anything going on in your external environment. And they say, you're running from this dog, you're running, your blood is pumping fast, and who knows what's going on in your mind. Things are happening in your body. When you get to safety, what's happened? Your body just didn't release all the stress that just happened. It's still stored up in your bloodstream, right? So we have to move. I'm so excited we get to practice that today of, like, that's the way that we fight some of these emotions that are just natural within us, and to not avoid, because I don't know if we can avoid burnout, but we can overcome burnout, navigate burnout by moving our bodies, having connections with people. In this room, we've got an amazing group of people in the room today. Connect with someone who may change your perspective, or who may help you overcome something that you might not even know you was going through before you came in the room today, right? But that's really kind of what I think about when I heard you say emotional, was let's just be aware of what's happening in our bodies. Let's move our bodies to respond to something that we can't avoid, which is stress. And I'm always going to be an advocate for use your voice and talk about it. I talk about my burnout all the time. It happened in 2020. If you knew me then, you might have thought I was having a mental breakdown. Again, if I don't talk about it, the other woman who's sitting to my right or my left, front, back, may not want to admit that she's experiencing that. So now we're responsible again to use our voice to change the narrative and to change what's happening to us from an emotional standpoint.
Thank you for starting with burnout, because that was one of the first points that came up for me when I looked at this question. Because the number one way that we deal with stress, or that it's recommended to ground and release stress, is to go outside. As I've seen the kids on the interwebs say, go touch grass. I don't think they meant it in a nice way, but I like it. But one of the things that stood out to me, I was living in Philadelphia when I started my grad program for a little bit, and I remember hearing that when you have access to green spaces, that there's significantly less crime in those particular neighborhoods. And then when you start to look at the way that cities are mapped out, there tends to be less green spaces in poorer or lower income neighborhoods. What's also really interesting is those neighborhoods also tend to be the ones that are more policed. So how do we navigate this? It's kind of comes back to, very similarly, make sure you vote, but also make sure that you're, again, in conversation with people. I have met more individuals by being involved in the Black Professional Alliance who are working with policy, who are passionate about making change. I didn't know that there's a bid process going on right now for changes going on 11th Street on the east side. They're actively having conversations with community about what's happening next. Be in those conversations. I'm working right now, just started a contract with the Watershed Protection Department for the city. They're bringing in people to share their experiences and to share their thoughts about plans that are going on with Watershed. You have to be an active participant. It's so easy to sit back and to think, it's bigger than me. I can't change the world. The hell you can. I don't know if I can say that, sorry. You can. And it starts with using your God-given right in your voice, to speak your voice.
Thank you for sharing. Our next question is, how does mainstream media affect women's perceptions of themselves and other women? And do you think this is a positive or negative influence?
All right. Man, I remember when the internet dial-up first started, you had to wait a little while, and you had to hear the dee-dee-dee. And now the accessibility is just, and even more so with AI, right? It's like flying. I have definitely found, resources and have been able to connect with people that I wouldn't have been able to in the past. But also, I want to throw this thing sometimes because there is so much information coming out of it that it's burnout. It really is. And your brain is constantly receiving so much information and you're trying to process it, and then you're trying to say, how do I put this somewhere? Ooh, maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to implement that. Maybe, it gets so overwhelming, and then you're like, I'm not doing enough, So I think, yes, there are ways where it is helpful to connect, to find resources, to help you organize, but going back a little bit to taking care of our emotional needs with that, we need to step away from it. We need to collect our thoughts without this as our only source of connectivity or inspiration. And that comes with spaces in nature. That comes with moving your body, because movement is language as well. And you are releasing as you move. You're releasing your toxins. You're releasing all the stress that you hold daily, weekly. And so, going back to the youth too, teaching them how important it is to have a balance. I mean, you see little kids now and their necks fold down, and they're walking with their necks down. And it's like, look up, let's connect, let's make eye contact, let's not be afraid of that. And so, yeah, it's there's a necessity, but also, do we need it to survive? No.
So my thoughts about mainstream media is it has a positive aspect and a negative aspect as well. And the positive aspect I see is when the media allows women they give women platform to hear their voices, tell their stories, to motivate others, and also advocate for change in the various media platforms. So when we listen to such voices from women, some of us get motivated. I remember during this South by Southwest festival, my supervisor, Emily, gave Izazi and I ticket to attend one of their leadership programs, and it was led by women who were doing very good in their communities. So they shared their stories, how they started from, the challenges that they faced, and where they have come to right now. So listening to such stories motivates us, and I was like, oh, so this is how far this woman has come to. Then I need to do more. So their stories motivate us when the media gives them that platform. And another negative aspect of the media is when the media uses certain women, some women, to body shape other women. Because the media sometimes uses celebrities who are flawless, who are thin with this curvy shape, and other women sit back and watch the media and say, wow, this is a real woman, I want to be like her. So we tend to do more, go to have surgeries to be like those women that we are seeing on the media. So this is something that when I see, I say, oh, okay, so is it how a real woman should be? Do you have to be curvy to be a real woman? Do you have to have this boobs or butt to be a real woman? So the media sometimes body shames some of us, by using our women to conform to the standards that some women are living. So it has positive and negative effects. Thank you.
I almost wanted to run around the room. That was so good. I appreciate that. Recently, I was in a icebreaker for a leadership class, and they asked me, "What are you worried about?" And I don't worry about tonight because I'm a child of the King. But one thing that I do worry about is technology and media happening to our children and not for our children. And what you just talked about is not new. Actually, there's nothing new under the sun. It actually traces back to the bikini industrial complex, right? Where what was put in media, that was, Baywatch is a great example, the Jenny McCarthy effect, right? But what if Lizzo or Adele back in the early 2000s was in a swimsuit on TV? We would call that normal, right? So we were influenced by what we saw on television and in the media, and then that became our standard, and then this burnout started because we couldn't meet this expectation of what we saw in the media. And my answer to that, and I'll give you an example of how I combated it after I read it in a book that I studied, my answer to that was to change the narrative. And so I have a 9-year-old daughter who, of course, because when I was allowing her to use the iPad more often, there were certain types of people that were put in front of her. And then I started noticing her language, I'm not ashamed to say this, that when she would see certain people, she would say, "Oh, they're so beautiful." And it came with this certain look, the color of their eyes, their shape, their skin tone. And I was like, not no, but heck no. I'm gonna change this right now. And so we did this exercise that I learned, and I'm actually challenged us to do it today because there's nobody who is the same, looks the same, nobody was born at the same, like we're not twins in here, we're all different, we're all God's creation. I did an exercise with her for over a month where every time we saw somebody, we acknowledged their beauty. And that was what started to change her mindset around, well, what is beauty? Like, this media is not going to dictate what beauty is. I'm going to dictate that. And it was my responsibility as a parent to say, we were in a grocery store, we see anybody. She's beautiful. We let people know they're beautiful. So that's what I'm going to challenge us to do today, because nobody is the same, but we're all beautiful. We're all a mosaic of God's creation, right? Look to the person next to you and tell them that they're beautiful. Kitty, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. That's what changing. This is love in the room, I love it. This is what changing the narrative looks like. And combating, this is love in the room, I can't interrupt that. I love that y'all enjoyed that exercise. Come on, this is love. I love this. I don't even want to interrupt it. Let me know when y'all done. Y'all beautiful. Yes, thank you. You are beautiful, right? Because we're going to constantly see things in the media that are going to influence the way we think. But we have to be responsible for changing that narrative. So I, again, challenge you to keep doing that exercise everywhere you go. Tell people that they're beautiful. Your idea of what beauty looks like will be different than what mainstream media is trying to tell us it is.
Thank you, I love that, it's so fun. One thing too, so I have a 10-year-old, as I mentioned, and I'm terrified of what the media that she's consuming is doing. I think a similar story. She was on some app that I thought was a game, and I don't know what it was, and she was talking to strangers, and her attitude and her everything just changed. She became a different person. We talked about it, got rid of it, and she got a little scared, and everything's fine, but I have my baby back. But there was a period of a couple weeks when she was playing that game where I didn't know what was wrong with her, and she was scared to tell me that she was uncomfortable and feeling pressured that she had to play this game. So I don't know what to do about that except keep the conversation open and try to just create a relationship with the little ones where they tell you they feel comfortable coming to you. She didn't get in trouble, none of that. but also she's really young. I still look at her stuff when she's, I keep an eye on it when she's at school. But as far as what's out there, we have the choice what we watch. I know that sometimes I will look at things that don't make me feel good, and I don't even notice that I'm doing it because it's the stuff that's just like instant gratification, like short little videos, and then I'm seeing someone on vacation here, and like, oh, this and like this house, just stuff that looks fun and interesting that I maybe want to do one day, and I just keep looking at it and not even thinking, and then all of a sudden I feel really bad. Like I don't have enough, I'm not doing enough, things like that, and I start comparing myself. So I have to be really careful with myself and monitor myself, because that same thing as my little one, it doesn't make me feel good. So I've been really intentional about the information that I take in and who and where it comes from. And I even created the Women of Austin podcast because I wanted to hear from women, just different types of women, what they were doing or their opinions on things. Emily was on the show. She was so great. But we can also create. So we can all create. We all have our phones and our cameras. So if you're a creator, don't be shy. Put some more good stuff out there in the world. We all need it, and we can all do it. And support the people who are doing the same.
Thank you so much for sharing. It was very insightful. I think we have time for one more question. So, what advice or call to action steps can you give the audience and viewers to empower women and to be brave, which is, in this organization, it stands for Building Relationships, Awareness, Voices, and Engagement.
This in itself is, we need more gatherings where people are in the same room to share stories, to hear stories, to have conversations, to move together. So much of society now is pulled away from connection and community. We're very comfortable in our home, we're very comfortable on the computer, and so keeping this going, keep continuing to share and connect. And I have she's almost 2 now, my little one, and it is a huge responsibility for us as leaders and creatives and people that do want to help the world be a better place, to show them that it is important to go out and meet new people and hear new stories and be brave. Be brave to share your story, because sometimes it's not easy. And being vulnerable to express yourself, whether that be through creativity or through movement or through poems, or there's so many ways we can access and tell our story. You have to find what makes you feel heard and seen and comfortable. And so thank you again, Emily, for creating this opportunity for all of us to be in this room together. Thank you.
Okay, I think you've said it all. You summarized everything for us here. So, also creating platforms like this and giving women opportunities to tell our stories and to advocate for a change is also very important. And as women, also showing solidarity for women who are facing challenges in war zones, and also advocating for a change will also contribute greatly for others out there. Thank you.
One topic that I feel is often talked about when you start to dive into DEI work for organizations is the theme of courageous leadership. And I firmly believe that everybody has their own individual form of leadership. Again, we're all diverse, intersectional beings, and so really taking the opportunity to do the hard work, to reflect who you are and what your values are, and be willing to, this is my therapy education, get comfortable with open questions. Ask other people open questions so you can continue to learn about other people's values. And one of the things that I'm learning in the leadership development program I'm in is getting really comfortable with that myth of perfection. I'm definitely a recovering, I can't even say I'm recovering, I'm on the road to recovery. There we go. I mean, not all the time. But, being sure, I'm honest, I'm very honest. Being sure that you can be comfortable with the fact that you're not perfect. No one is supposed to be. That's the beautiful part of this world that we live in. So share that imperfection, because we need it.
I'm a recovering perfectionist as well, but I'm an excellentist, not a perfectionist. So I'll give that to you all. I love what Brave is doing. I particularly love what Brave stands for. And then for some reason, I was sitting here like, well, I don't know, I looked up the definition of Brave, because that's what I do. I stay glued to the dictionary. But it says, ready to face and endure danger or pain, showing courage. And for me, courage is a cousin to confidence. Right? They in the same family. And as I was saying earlier, I don't know if I completed the thought around the way we perceive confidence, and it's answering the question, how can we continue to be brave? The way we perceive confidence is, I can do this, so I got this. Just kind of just having this imaginary magic, just aura about yourself. And so I consume a lot of information, and one of the people who I listen to quite often is Mel Robbins. Have you ever heard of Mel Robbins? All right, so she's my distant mentor. She don't know it yet, but she defined confidence for me, and it's a definition that I'm going to offer you and that I carry forward. I'm not sure where that is coming from, but it's always being willing to try. Confidence is always being willing to try. Raise your hand if you got it right 100% of the time you tried something. Y'all God's children. You hear me?
I didn't want to brag.
But brag, brother, brag. Failure is a part of our success formula, and the way that we can continue to be brave and be courageous is not letting fear be a barrier for us, not letting fear stop us from trying the hard things, and always being willing to try whatever it is you set your sights on. Because, I got my best lessons from failures. I got my best lessons from the $85,000 I accepted. That's my best lesson. It gives me courage and confidence right now. So that's my challenge to all of us is be confident by always being willing to try. Compliments of me and Mel Robbins.
I want to also echo the importance of allowing spaces like these to be in the community. So thank you, and then where is thank you for providing us with this opportunity for people to come and then tell their stories. But another way, like instead of people coming to you, because sometimes people might not have the resources to come or like the courage to come, maybe you can also come to them. You can also go to them, and then like if you see like, oh Lydia, you're so great. Like if you think someone's great, then tell them, because like it might be just that little boost that they need to actually believe that they're great. Because when you see like, oh, Lydia's so great, but she probably knows it. Maybe she doesn't. Yeah. So, so everyone of us is great, and yeah, I think share your happiness with other people.
Real quick, everyone from Brave, can you guys just raise your hands so we can give you some love right now? This is amazing. Thank you so much. This room, this energy, what you created here, I'm just like, oh, thank you, all of you, so much, so much. For me to be brave, is to be vulnerable. So I was dealing with a drinking problem for 20 years, and if I had told people what was going on with me, it probably would have been 10 years. But I was so scared of what other people would think about me, and that I would be just, no one would want to get anywhere near me or talk to me ever again. My life would be over. What I didn't realize was people didn't want to be near me because it kept getting worse and worse, and I was not fun to hang out with anymore. But the second I finally started telling people, they were all so supportive and so loving and so wonderful. And that is not how I was playing it in my head. So just trust the people that are close to you, and if you're going through something, those people are there for a reason. And if you tell them something and they don't respond well, then it's probably a good thing you know that about them. Because I guarantee you, you will have people in your corner and by your side who are there to help you and who will be there for you. So if there's anything you need to talk about with anyone, I encourage you to be brave, because they would love to help you and support you. I am so sure of it, because that is what we do here. We're all humans, we need each other, we love each other, and we cannot do this alone.
Yes.
Got us away. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Thank you all so much for being here. It's so inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much. And because we are here in Danzversity Studios, we have a wonderful treat to actually have a guided and facilitated movement session that Jaymie and Kitty will lead. So before we ask you all to kind of help with the chairs, we also will have Faylyn Hunt do some pictures with the panelists. But I also want to give a shout out to all the vendors that are here. So we have Amanda to the table here at Align and Embody. So after our dance movement, you can have time to meet with the vendors. So Amanda's with Align and Embody coach. We've got the League of Women Voters in Austin here, so please register to vote. It's a very important year. And some of the panelists are saying it's so important to use our voice for the ballot. And so please please stop by her table if you have not registered to vote, or you've changed locations and addresses, or you want to encourage your neighbor or your uncle to vote. We have the Small Business and Minority Business Resource Center from the City of Austin. They've got great resources if you want to be certified to work in the city, and they got some great swag there, and Eddie is back there. And we've got great refreshments. And then thank you for the 5-minute career path. There's so many businesses. The other table is that Lydia Designs is there. So they've got some amazing clothes for adults and children. And then we also have Rebecca at the table there with some artwork. So please enjoy. So what I may ask is if you all don't mind.
Come on, Jaymie, against the garage door, and you can just hold them and help me stack them that way.
If you don't mind helping us stack the chairs, love that.